Welcome to everyone. This is the 2021 Candidate Forum, and we're going to be dividing this up between Ward 3, Ward 4, and the mayoral race. This forum is not a debate, so there will not be the standard debate format, but it's an opportunity to learn about the candidates and in a positive and nonpartisan manner. The questions have not been provided to any of the candidates in advance. Each candidate will have 3 minutes to introduce themselves, to talk about what brought them to this election. And then I will ask each candidate a series of questions. They will each have 3 minutes to answer the question, and the time limits will be pretty strictly enforced. We're going to leave some time open at the end for any of the participants to ask questions or submit your questions. And I think the raise hand feature is available, and I'll let everyone know when we get to that point. All right, candidates, are you ready? All right, we're going to start, and I'm going to alternate each question. So I'm going to allow Ms. Janice to go first and spend about 3 minutes introducing yourself and telling us about you.
Okay, my name is Cheryl Janice. I have lived in Edmond my whole life. The first thing about me that you should know is that I'm a Christian and I live by the golden rule. So I follow that in my daily life, I follow that in my business life, I do unto others as I would have them do to me, and I would follow that rule also into city council. I'm a very compassionate person. I've been on both sides of the city council a little bit, got to go through the Leadership Edmond program and sit on this side of city council and do a little mock city council meeting, which was super great and fun. I've been to the other side of city council where I was able to get our new business put into Edmond, where I had to come and get things approved, like our zoning, our building. So it was just a really great experience to kind of get a little bit of both sides of it. My family's grown and kids are pretty much out of the house now, so I have a lot more time to devote to spending time working on things of the city. I am conservative in my values. I love to fix problems. I'm a problem solver. I don't like to pat myself on the back, so I don't really talk about that a lot, but I did implement the backpack program at Memorial High School, where kids now that need it get a backpack full of food on Fridays, at least when they were in school. And implemented that probably about 10 years ago. Helped Sister BJ open a clothing pantry in downtown Oklahoma City probably 20 years ago. Both of those programs are still in place today, and I just love Edmond. I love what it's been. I love that I've seen it grow from 20,000, population to almost 100,000, and we've kept that small town feel. And I would love to be a part of keeping that small town feel. I'm open to new ideas, though. I don't think that just one idea is the only idea. I like to hear ideas from all types of people, young, old, and just really want to do what I can to bring more business into Edmond, because that's how we get all the great programs we've got. That's how we do our streets. That's how there's so many things that we rely on tax dollars. So I am pro-business. I'm pro-business the right way, bringing the right kinds of business into Edmond. And I also believe that we need to have new construction for homes. We've got lots of people moving here. And we need to have all types of homes. We need to have small homes, medium homes, big homes, inexpensive homes, high-end homes. So there's just a very good way to do that, and I want to be a part of that. Let's see here. I just want to keep Edmond, and that is my whole goal, is just to keep Edmond, and keep us a great conservative town that has high standards of living, safe communities, great schools, and that is pretty much me. Is that talk about me?
You have 30 seconds.
I'm good.
Okay, great. Thank you. Our next candidate is Kristen Mugg. And as I said, this is Ward 3. So I'm going to let you give us about a 3-minute intro. Tell us about yourself. Go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I appreciate these forums as an opportunity to educate people about who the candidates are, what we stand for, and our background and experience. I grew up in Oklahoma City, and after graduating from Oklahoma City North High School, I went to OU undergrad, got a letters degree, and then went to work at Southwestern Bell Telephone, where I paid for my MBA at night, and then decided to go to law school in 1995. So I was in law school from 95 to 98 and graduated, graduated from law school in 1998. And at that time decided to make Edmond my home. My parents had moved to Edmond in 1988. My sister and her husband and two young girls were already settled in Edmond. And I knew Edmond was a place where I wanted to raise a family, wanted to educate my kids, a great community in which to live. So I've practiced in estate planning and tax since the beginning of my career. I made the trek from Edmond to downtown Oklahoma City for 7 years. And in 2005, decided to start my own law practice here in Edmond. Great place to grow my family, great place to grow my business. So in 2005, worked from home for a year, leased some office space, then bought a building. And so I owned a commercial building, built that from the ground up, served on the Owners Association board for the commercial building, so have some experience with the requirements there. Also currently just rolled off serving on my homeowners association board for 4 years, which was quite the experience. So have some experience that way as well. The nature of my practice is serving estate planning. I'm comfortable reading ordinances, laws, obviously, real estate issues, tax issues, small business owner that we've grown from just me at the house to now 12 employees. We're located in Hayco Plaza, 10th and Bryant, backing up the beautiful Hayco Park. Go take walks on my lunch hour there. So I know what it's like to run a small business. I know what it's like to understand budgets, profit and loss statements. Also have served on several nonprofit boards, which also gives me some good financial exposure. Angels Foster Family Network was on that board for quite a while, which is here in Edmond, as well as Phillips Theological Seminary. And I'm currently serving on the Oklahoma City Community Foundation Board of Trustees and the Oklahoma Disciples Foundation. All of these things, I think, help me be prepared and ready to serve. I'm also a chartered advisor in philanthropy. So within my practice, I have a real passion for nonprofit. Government has a space, private business has a space, private individuals have a space, nonprofits have a space. And there's some great partnerships in this community with some wonderful nonprofits. Part of our city budget also goes to make grants to some of those nonprofits. So I am passionate about serving. Oh, I thank you.
Thank you, Kristen. All right, I indicated that I'm going to alternate the questions. So since I let you introduce yourself first, I'm going to have Kristen answer the first question first. When asked, most residents of Edmond cite traffic as their top concern. What actions will you commit to in order to address these traffic concerns?
Great question. No, that is the number one complaint. Our city manager this morning mentioned it earlier in this forum. Traffic flow. You have projects on the strategic list. They are chipping away at them. We need to partner with ACOG, with developers. With developments, we are having developers widen roads, pay for or put money aside to widen those roads in the future. I think it's a problem in any growing city. You're going to have traffic flow issues, and so we have to continue to address those from all the different angles, all the different partners, and with developers, with ACOG, with our other folks in the community. The intelligent traffic system is in place somewhat, but needs to be expanded both from the employee standpoint in monitoring that, as well as the software that runs that. It's a good problem, as I say, but it's a problem. It's a good problem because we're a growing community where people want to live and work and play. But specifically, I think continuing to address it with development projects that are approved, joint projects with ACOG, continuing to work down the
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Much
Okay,
better.
back to traffic control. All right, so I do believe that we need to continue implementing the intelligent traffic control. I do know at the last, I believe it was a budget meeting, they said that we are not getting as many grants for our roads as we were before. So we're going to be footing the bill for a lot more construction than we have ever before. So we're going to need to look at ways to either apply for some different grants, or we're going to have to absorb that somehow. That is going to be a big issue because Edmond is growing and we need great roads. We need to make sure that as we're growing east, that we put those that infrastructure in place so that we're not redoing roads. And to me, that's a waste of money. If you're just making a 2-lane road, but you know you're going to need a 4-lane road in a few years, you need to just do the 4-lane road. And maybe you have to cut budget somewhere that's not, not needed at that point in time, and then go back to it. As a person who has a house and we had 4 kids raising them, we didn't always get to do the fun stuff we wanted with our budget. Sometimes we had to cut out something in order to make sure that we had, insurance or food or, whatever it is. So I do think that, as a city council member, it's our job to make sure that we're being wise with our money and spending it where we need to spend it. So I think that having a well thought out plan for our streets and planning on where we want the city to grow and then pushing for the city to grow that way is a really great way to keep our roads not so congested.
Okay, thank you. All right, Cheryl, I'll start with you for the next question. For most people, their home is their biggest investment. What are the top 3 things that you commit to doing to protect residents and neighborhoods if elected?
Okay, I'm going to assume that is asking me if I'm for apartments. That seems to be a very hot topic in Edmond right now. And I'm not against apartments, but I'm not for putting apartments on every corner. I think apartments have a place and time. There are different.
Actually, let me stop you. The next question is going to be dealing specifically with apartments.
Okay.
So I don't mean to interrupt you, but if there are other top 3 things that you want to discuss to protect neighborhoods and residents, why don't you focus on those?
Okay.
Sorry.
The top things that you can do to protect residents and their home values is, one, you've got to have zoning in place, the right kind of zoning. And if you want to build something that's not in that zoning, you have to go to city council to get it rezoned, to get a PUD. Those are things that city council members need to take into consideration when that's brought forth before them. So, that's something that you have to look at. You have to have all the information presented to you before you can make an educated decision on that type of thing. But we have great housing here. I think our housing market is one of the top. We've got, great parks. That's kind of one of my big things. I love the parks in Edmond. And I just think we have a really safe community. We need to keep our police funded. We need to keep our fire funded, make sure that we have fire departments in the right places so that we can keep our homeowners insurance down. And so that would be my big thing outside of, talking about the different things that can be built around neighborhoods. They're zoned for a reason.
All right, thank you. Kristen.
Could you repeat the question?
Yes. For most people, their home is their biggest investment. What are the top 3 things that you commit to doing to protect residents and neighborhoods if you're elected?
Thank you. The number one thing is that I'm going to make incredibly well-researched decisions regarding any zoning changes or PUD development that come before the city council. I've already started that by talking to neighbors who are concerned about projects in their vicinity, watching planning commission meetings as well as the city council meetings. Number one is we've got to be, if we're making a zoning change or we're approving the PUD, we have to think about all of the stakeholders around that area and the effect. Then we go back to, again, protecting my investment and everybody else's investment. My biggest investment is my home too, but traffic flow and accessibility to parks and recreation. and smart meters. So I mean, I would say number one is just incredibly well-informed decisions, listening to residents, listening to the planning commission, digging into the details and making really good, solid short-term, long-term decisions that take all those stakeholders into account. Focus on traffic flow and the effects of changes on our residents. If it takes 25 minutes to get to the other side of town to run an errand, that's not good quality of life and it doesn't help our property values. And then again, I think the parks and recreational areas around the neighborhoods are increasing the value of those neighborhoods.
All right, thank you. All right, my last question, I sort of gave it away. There are currently approximately 8,000 apartment units in the city of Edmond and over 11,000 in the Edmond School District. Currently, there are plans to add an additional 2,400 apartment units in various places here in Edmond. What do you think is the impact of adding these additional apartment units to the city, to the nearby neighborhoods, and to the school district? And what things should be considered before they are approved? Kristen?
Yeah, no, this is an incredibly complicated question. And I do think it kind of goes back to my number one priority in protecting home values. We do need some different housing and diverse housing opportunities for people, and that does include some apartments. But we do need to be mindful of how many stories are those apartments. Will people be able to see into other neighborhoods from there? How will it affect traffic? How will it affect the school population? That a lot of people, I think there's some misinformation and some accurate information about the effects of apartments. I don't think we should fear them necessarily, but we should be mindful of the number of units, traffic flow, effects on the neighboring, the neighborhoods that butt up to them. I am very cautious about changing zoning. If somebody moves into a neighborhood and something's zoned light commercial, and then someone wants to change that zoning and make it multifamily and a 300-person complex in their backyard, that is a significant change from what that homeowner bought into. That being in mind, we're a growing city, and we do make, as Randy N said this morning, there were a number of zoning changes that we make every year. I think he said 27 zoning changes were made in 2020. So it's complicated, right? And but I think we've got to protect the homeowners' values of their homes, be mindful of that. While we are a growing city, we can't not grow. I do want to provide housing to people who maybe don't have the money for a down payment. They're a young professional. They're an empty nester. They don't want the responsibility. So I think we can do beautiful options for people, but we need to be careful about where they go, how they go, accessibility, height, and all of those factors and the effect that it has on our neighbors. Another point is I 100% will be available to residents. I want to be a resource and a liaison. I want to hear their concerns, talk to them about their concerns, answer them, address them, be a voice and an advocate for people. Be it through the Edmond Neighborhood Alliance or other. I've had a number of folks already reach out to me and ask me about different projects, and I said I won't be on the board until probably that has already been passed, but I can tell you just my general thoughts and how I would access it and be available and responsive to your needs so that we can grow, but grow in a smart way. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Cheryl.
All right, I think I started on that with the apartments, and we need to have different kinds of housing for different people's needs. So if you're a young professional and you don't know that you're going to land in Edmond, but maybe you're a physician at Mercy and you want to have the option to become a physician in Dallas and you don't want to have to sell your house, if that's your goal, then you might want to hire an apartment where you can, have amenities, have a gym or a pool or whatever, and you don't want to have to mow the yard. So there are reasons that people do need apartments. There are reasons that, like she said, young families, maybe they don't have enough money for a down payment and they're going to live in an apartment until they can save up enough money for a down payment. So we just don't want to put them on every corner. We want to be thoughtful on where they go. We want to be thoughtful on how many units are in an apartment complex. And I'm not against them. I'm not for them. I'm just kind of neutral as the fact of where they go and what they're being used for. I would never say that I would not want somebody to live in Edmond because of their paycheck. And Edmond does have a high quality of living, and we do have higher house prices than some of our surrounding areas, but we also have great schools and great businesses here that people want. So sometimes they just don't have the financial ability, and I would never want to keep someone out of Edmond just because their paycheck didn't allow them to buy a home here. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's just kind of where I was saying. I would like to, like I said, provide people with information, give me information. I've already talked to the attorney of an apartment complex that's been proposed, and I'm just kind of looking at it to get all the information. I like to have the facts before I make decisions. I'm not I just want to do this type person. I want to know the good, the bad, the ugly, and make an informed decision before I can give an opinion on things.
All right, thank you. Casey, do we have any questions from the audience?
If anyone would like to ask a question, the candidates, we ask that you use the raise hand feature. You can find that in the participants tab, or it may be in reactions. If you phoned in, you can raise your hand by hitting *9. And so I will wait just a second here to see if anyone has a question they would like to ask. Give people time to find the raise hand feature if they don't know where it is.
I can't find my raise hand feature. I do have a question of the two candidates. Edmond enjoys some really great parks, whether it be Mitch Park that has the skate park and things like that, or Hafer, which is more of a traditional park setting, or the dog park down there on, I think it's the Bickham Dog Park, some sports complexes and things like that, as well as the water, I guess the fountain park over there on Kelly, just north of 2nd Street. And my question is, do you think there are enough parks, or is there a need for more? And what would your vision be for these additional parks?
All right, Cheryl, I'll let you go first.
Oh yeah, parks are a big part of my heart. I think I've said in some other forums that I grew up in a little neighborhood called Meadow Lakes, and the park in that neighborhood is the central of that neighborhood. And that was the gathering place as a child. I mean, we were there all the time. I think every neighborhood should have a park. And I was talking to someone just yesterday about what has our city done to buy property on the east side of Edmond. We've got great parks on the west side of Edmond, but what have we done? I don't know that for sure, but if we don't have property bought over there, property's not going to get any cheaper. And that's something that I would definitely look at, trying to find property on the east side to have the same type of parks there that we have here as our city grows that direction. I saw that there's talk about doing a nature park in Edmond, which I think is a fantastic idea. Maybe not have all the slides and swings, but just have a big park area where people can go and enjoy nature and maybe have a picnic and get out in the sunshine and get some fresh air. So yes, parks are a big item for me that I would love to have a hand in making sure we have more parks, especially looking forward to the east side.
Thank you. Kristen.
I would say first and foremost, I want to see us improve the amenities in the existing parks that we have. I think we have some amazing parks. One example in Ward 3, Bitkin Park, I think could use some sprucing up, right? I mean, there's some nice trails. There's the pond there. It's next to the dog park. There's a joint project with Oklahoma City Community Foundation for a tree forest. But I'd like to first see us improve upon the amenities of the existing parks that we have. I'm very excited about a project that's coming on in East Edmond, still west of I-35, but East Edmond, that's going to be somewhat like the gathering place in Tulsa, if anyone has been there. Super excited. It's a joint project between a private citizen and the city of Edmond. And I think it's going to be an amazing use of space and a great amenity for us to have. So I agree with Cheryl that we don't seem to have, we have Lake Arcadia on the east side. I'd like to see again the amenities, the bathrooms, the hiking trails. There's a task force that Councilman Moore has put together to address specifically how can we improve those amenities and draw more regional visitors, get more people in our community to enjoy that. I think there could be another park space or two in East Edmond as it develops. And I think that could be a benefit for those residents on that side of town. But again, we've got to be mindful of that budget, and I don't want to neglect the parks that we have now in favor of adding a lot of new parks.
All right, thank you. Casey, any other questions?
Yeah, we have a couple of hands raised. I don't know how much time you have, but I'll bring up the next one. I'll let you decide how many questions you can take.
Yeah, we can have 2 more questions. You know, we did get shorted a little bit because of the audio issues. So go ahead.
1 minute.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mr. Thomas.
Yes, the question would be for both candidates. I'll let Ms. Lee direct who would answer it first, but I would love to know what would you say are the 3 primary areas in which your platforms or views diverge?
Kristen, how are you primarily different from Ms. Janice in terms of your platform?
My platform is to, again, make unbiased decisions. I don't have a particular issue that motivated me to run. I don't have a particular agenda. I'm never going to be pro this always or anti that always. I want to make incredibly well-informed decisions. I've already begun that research so that I can hit the ground running. I've talked to and met with city staff, councilmen, residents, so that watch the 2-hour water video. So I think I should get votes for that, just for watching it. But I am educating myself now as much as I possibly can so that hopefully when I take office, the learning curve is not as steep. And I feel like my experience as a business owner, a property owner, a homeowner, I'm not sure what this means. I think, again, my education, my experience, my love of learning and love of people.
Thank you. Cheryl.
All right. Well, I think I'm kind of the same way. Krista and I are very alike in a lot of our values and a lot of the things that we want to see for Edmond. I guess maybe my biggest difference is I've seen this city go from 20,000 to almost 100,000 people in it. And I know what the old Edmond, that very small hometown community where you felt like everybody knew everybody is. And that is like a priority to me, to make sure that we keep our citizens involved and keep our community tight as we go through just the different changes in our world right now. And we've done a really great job of it. City Council has done the tip area downtown, and we're bringing people in downtown. So now people are staying in Edmond instead of going to Oklahoma City or going to Tulsa to do different things. So I think just keeping Edmond is a big, big priority for me.
All right, thank you. Casey, one last question.
Ms. Wolfman unmuted here. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. This is a question sort of about traffic safety. Now, what is your vision for people riding their bicycles to work, to school, and to shop?
Cheryl, I'll let you answer that first.
Well, I know that the city has done a really good job of putting the bicycle lanes in. I think we need to continue that in areas maybe we don't have bicycle lanes, and really informing our public on bicycle safety too. Like our young drivers in Ed, we need to make sure that they're aware of what the laws are for bicyclists, and just to be more aware of the bicyclists on the road.
We continue to see bicycle lanes. Certainly our trails have bike lanes, walk lanes are amazing. In addition to that, anything we can do to reduce the number of cars, I think, on our roads is a good thing, be it bicycles, scooters, walkability, public transportation, potentially the regional transit authority rail project that's being considered. Any of those things, I think, are good for the health of our citizens and reducing traffic flow and the number of cars.
All right, thank you. I want to thank both of our candidates from Ward 3. If you'll give us just a moment. We're going to switch candidates and bring up the candidates for Ward 4. So just a moment. Thank you.